favorable today than it did this time last week. It's amazing how much a win can change your perspective. Also, get Wes and Chris's thoughts on when the last time Carolina had a win that felt this big was. Gotten some suggestions from you guys today, and y'all can keep those coming on the Love Chevy phone line and the text line, but we'll get some perspective from a couple of Gamecock historians here in just a minute. We want to start here in the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour by giving you guys a chance to win some money.
It's time for your chance to win $100 and qualify for the $25,000 grand prize in our $25,000 site. National keyword to 95819. Your national keyword to text is...
Oh, it's a good one. It's Bill. It's in a dollar bill, as in Bill Gunter, as in...
Bill. Text that national keyword to 95819. Standard text messaging rates may apply. Please don't text and drive. The $25,000 signing bonus contest on 107.5 The Game.
Chris.
Hi.
What's up?
What's going on?
How you feeling?
Good.
What'd you have for breakfast?
Breakfast was actually a little bit of a protein shake this morning.
Ah, okay. So that's why you got a little energy.
Mm-hmm. A little pep in the step.
Good. Some protein,
Lots
some
of
branched
coffee.
chain amino acids, probably some caffeine.
Caffeine came from the coffee. No, none in the protein, I don't think.
Okay, so this isn't like the pre-workout kind of protein?
Nope.
That's all Wes eats, I hear. Just breakfast sandwiches and protein shakes.
It's a good way to
Can
live.
confirm.
Chris, you hate Mark Stoops. You think he's ugly, and you hate his sunglasses.
Well, I was gonna say I've never seen him in sunglasses. He does wear them. So I guess he was referring to himself with those comments he made. Like he claimed.
Maybe so.
Apparently, he used to dance and wear sunglasses when he got
Sunglasses
to
that he didn't even like.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Stupid sunglasses.
And he thought that he did a terrible job, apparently, at the beginning.
Well,
since he
as
was
much as
talking
that
about
Shane
himself.
Beamer video was completely ridiculous in all the ways that you kind of need to be to participate in the pageantry of college football, they weren't bad-looking sunglasses, but the one that Mark Stoops was wearing on the sideline during the Ole Miss game were just awful. 0 out of 10. So
Were they? Okay. I didn't even notice those. No, Mark Stoops, I mean, look, I have been, I think, almost effusive in my praise of the job he's done. Like, you can't objectively look at that and be like, no, it's not that impressive. Like, he's done a great job. I've talked about it all the time. I've thought so highly of the job he did at Kentucky that several years ago, I thought Michigan should have targeted him for its head coaching job. So, like, I have said more than my piece on the job that Mark Stoops has done. But I will also say...
You're here today to take it all back.
No, I'm not taking any of it back. But I am going to say that the way, in my opinion, that he handled that situation and the lead up to the South Carolina game and the aftermath of the South Carolina game was ridiculous, in my opinion. So he had 3 media aside from everything else. Let's take out the sunglasses thing and all that. Seriously, does anybody believe that he was not talking about Shane Beamer? I mean, seriously.
Are we supposed to believe that he wasn't?
Well, he said he wasn't. He said he was talking about himself.
To believe that? I didn't.
I guess.
I thought he was just saying it because it was the right thing to say. Obviously, I mean, like it's.
No, he tried to, I think, make a compelling case. Like, I don't have any room to talk about anybody, blah blah blah. But I mean, come on, we're not that dumb. So anyway, yeah, I mean, take all that out, right? Leading up, Mark Stoops does his press conference on Mondays. So he'll wrap up. It's kind of like Shane Beamer's Tuesday press conference. He wraps up the previous game and he previews the upcoming game. Then he did, obviously, the post-game press conference after the game on Saturday night. And then he did the Monday press conference after the South Carolina game. So he'll...
And the SEC teleconference on Sunday, right?
Yeah, didn't hear the teleconference. Okay. So...
But he's had a lot of opportunities.
He's had a lot of opportunities. So I've heard 3 of the 4 in full.
And I don't know if they do a Sunday because Sunday is Wednesday.
I guess Wednesday is the SEC.
That's right.
So I didn't hear that.
I don't know if they maybe they did, maybe they didn't.
Maybe they did. Yeah. So I've heard 3 different opportunities and probably, I don't know, close to an hour of Mark Stoops talking leading up to the game and after.
I'm sorry.
Didn't mention Shane Beamer's name once. He said some nice things briefly about Marshawn Lloyd. Spent most of the Monday after the Ole Miss game talking about Ole Miss. They barely. He wasn't really asked a lot about South Carolina. I think they just kind of assumed they would win or something. So he said some nice things about Spencer Rattler and Marshawn Lloyd. He called South Carolina. He said, a very good team. They're improved, but he never. And Wes made a good point yesterday when I was talking about this with him. It's kind of standard practice to go up there and say some nice things about the other team. Not once. Not Shane's done a great job. Post game didn't mention South Carolina at all. Called them they. Said that they had a good play on that reverse, but nothing about him. And then the Monday after, he finally, it almost looked painful. Give South Carolina credit. They beat us. That's all he said. Didn't Shane have his guys prepared? Nothing. There's nothing. And so, based on the evidence, I just don't think. And Mark Stoops and Shane Beamer are a lot different. They're very different. We know that. Mark Stoops is kind of old school, et cetera. I just don't think he has a lot of respect for the program.
Clearly
or
not.
for Shane Beamer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I kind of love this. I love this feud, obviously. Chris Clark, Gamecock Larry.
So, yeah, let's just turn this into wrestling, right? We obviously have Shane the babyface.
Mm-hmm.
He's, the crowd's cheering for him, and then Mark Stoops comes to the crowd with his 1980s cop glasses, and everybody boo. And he's kind of ugly, and he does it, Shane is all wearing sparkly tights, and
he's the no fun police, I feel like.
I kind of love the way this is developing.
Yeah. I will say in general, like Mark Stoops not participating in all of like the banal niceties that have become coaches' press conferences kind of makes me want to like him more, because it's so irksome to me when people participate in that just out of, I don't know, a sense of obligation. Like I gave Shane Beamer credit for not trying to like overinflate Charlotte. Yeah. But how many times do coaches do that? It was, oh, this Eastern Illinois team, man. Like, they could take on the Rams next week and give them a good game. It's like, okay, shut up, they're terrible. So I appreciate that Mark Stoops doesn't do that. And I guess living by his own mind. It's Monday. We're on to the next game next week.
Well, and I get your point. I tried to go back though. Okay, so I compared it. I took it to the next level.
The deep dive.
Wow. All right,
this hate is deep.
The Ole Miss game, he was very complimentary. Well, they did a lot of things that took us out of this, and give them credit because of that. We couldn't do this because of that. South Carolina game, you would have thought they were just over there playing against trash cans and throwing air. Literally the only thing he mentioned again that Marshawn's a good player, which if you didn't say that, you look like a complete moron after the game. And then, he said, they had a good play on the reverse. They cracked us, et cetera, et cetera. That's kind of all he said. And then right after, so he spent about 1 minute, 45 seconds to 1 minute this Monday after the Carolina game, because they play Mississippi State this week. And he said, he talked more about how badly they screwed up during the South Carolina game. And then he finally was able to utter, give South Carolina credit, they beat us, blah, blah, we're on to the next one and all that. And then he said, we got Mississippi State. When you play a Mike Leach team, blah, 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 this is what you get. And it's like, really? So he could do it. He could respect Lane Kiffin but I'm telling you, there's something to it. He is not. He's not a fan.
Well, when you're going to take a shot across the bow like he did this offseason, and then when you're not going to back it up on the field, there's not really anything left to do except for tuck your tail between your legs and go home. Take your ball and go home, right?
Yeah, he didn't even own the initial comment. That's the
worst
sad part. You
got
to own
the
it.
Bad part.
You got to own it at that point.
It's like Devontae Adams. Oh, I didn't see him.
I actually, one of my favorite parts of this entire thing was, and it was very easily missed, but when all this was happening and Beamer was asked about it, I just pulled it up. This is way back. This is in August. And this Beamer quote, I know the basketball coach at Kentucky made the comment he did about the program. I know Mark says he stays in his lane, and I can't imagine he would have gotten out of his lane to direct a shot at me. And it was like the perfect, if you read that quote at surface level, it's just Beamer saying, I can't imagine he would do that. But if you listen to the tone, it was, I can't imagine he would ever get out of his lane. It was so perfectly executed.
He had another Beamer did after the game. He had another chef's kiss comment. It was the one where, and I know they were missing their quarterback, but we won 7 games last year with 4 different quarterbacks. So I feel Coach Stoops' pain. He said, and I know that their culture is good enough there to where they can play well around them.
I would just feel if I was Stoops, I'd feel my blood boiling right now. Like, I can't believe I let this little twerp, I want to stuff him in a locker.
That's how it feels.
That's how he feels. I think that is. And they really are very, very different. And I think it's kind of like, look, Will Muschamp and Dabo Swinney were extremely different, and they did not get along.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them liked each other, and that's fine.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Who does get along with Will Muschamp?
There are a lot of people that get along with Muschamp, but they did not. Mark Stoops and Muschamp got along very well.
Peas in a pod.
Yeah.
but Muschamp and Dabo do not get along. Beamer and Dabo get along very well. Like, they are more of that same mold of kind of coach. Mark Stoops is from Youngstown, and just more of a hard nosed. Doesn't. So they're just different, and I just found it all very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to come back to the wrestling analogy, it is amazing how quickly he's turned heel. Because this time last year, I was in the same camp as you, Chris, where I'm just like, yeah, I mean, this dude. I made the case. I don't know if it was last year at SEC Media Days or 2 years ago. It's like Mark Stoops is the second best coach in the SEC. It must have been 2 years ago because it was before Kirby won the national championship. I guess you got to bump him up for that. But I mean, outside of those two guys, Mark Stoops is probably the best coach in the SEC. But. And it's not even the comment that bothers me. It's, the way he coaches guys up to fake injuries, to like steal timeouts at the end of games. It's the way that they've never, ever, ever, not even one time in the 10 years that he's been in Kentucky, even tried to schedule one halfway decent non-conference opponent. Like, the way that South Carolina has scheduled recently has been revolting to me. I'm just so sick of all the BS games that they play. Kentucky takes that to like the next level. I went back and looked because my friend Joe, really brought this to my attention. I know that they never play any tough games, but he was like, dude, look at it. And I went and looked, and since Mark Stoops got to Kentucky, like the toughest game they've played out of conference, other than the one time Louisville was good for 5 minutes, was Northern Illinois. Like, it's embarrassing. And it's like, okay, so you're talking about your bowl eligible seasons because you're padding your stats with these terrible games, and you're whatever. But like the whole Kentucky thing, this has been, Kentucky is Bitcoin. And the bubble has burst, and I'm excited to watch all the air come out of it.
Well, you will be the happiest man in the world in 2025, Pearson, because South Carolina, in addition to their normal conference slate, and Clemson plays, and I know right now they're struggling, but Virginia Tech, okay, in Atlanta, they also play Coastal and App State, so those can replace the other two.
Solid. That's a good schedule. that is a schedule where all 12 games will be worth watching, which has never been true of a single Kentucky schedule, and unfortunately hasn't been true of a lot of Carolina. It was hard for me to hold it against Kentucky because I'm like, everybody schedules crap games. It's not exclusive to South Carolina or Kentucky, but seriously, Kentucky takes it to the next level. I don't have it. I don't have the note anymore, but just go look back at their last 10 years and it'll make you throw up. So make sure you have a trash bag close by. 803-404-6100. It's a Brain Dump Tuesday. If you have any thoughts from Carolina, Kentucky, you can share them. Or if we just want to talk about how ugly Mark Stoops is,
let's do it.
And how much we hate his sunglasses. We were supposed to do Hate Week last week. I guess we're doing it this week. But this has been a lot of fun. So, Chris, thank you for bringing the hate to the table today.
Thank you, sir.
803-404-6100. Love Chevy phone line, text line, and get all of us on Twitter at Pearson Fowler, at Coach B Tweets, at GC Chris Clark, and at Wes Mitchell GC.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
Just to give you a breakdown, 8 straight road losses for the Gamecocks, 1 this year, 4 last year, and then in 2020, obviously the final year of the Will Muschamp era, they lost 3 straight after beating Vanderbilt in Nashville on Saturday, October the 10th. So, and by the way, of those, the amount of points that South Carolina has given up, those 8 games, South Carolina has given up 30 or more points every time. 7 of the last 8 games on the road for South Carolina, the Gamecocks have given up 40 or more points.
It's Bill Gunter. Way to pump up your morning and make you feel good.
Yeah. Welcome. It's the Early Game
on your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. Well, we all thought you couldn't top Grady Jarrett's roughing the passer call on Tom Brady, but congrats to the NFL refs. You've topped yourself. The Chiefs were flagged for the same penalty last night because Chris Jones couldn't control himself in midair like Neo from The Matrix to avoid falling on Derek Carr as the two landed on the ground. This is Damon Amendolara.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Hey, it's Terry Ford from 107.5 The Game. Just want to yap with you a minute about real estate. Okay, if you're dealing in the real estate market, either buying or selling, it's the biggest transaction for a lot of folks that you'll ever make, right? So if you're going to be dealing with the biggest transaction you're ever going to make in your life, you need somebody you can trust and depend on. Call my guy, Kevin Johnson, Jeff Cook Real Estate, 803-770-5496. That's 803-770-5496.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Guys, want an effective, affordable way to get ED medication 100% online? Whether you're looking for Viagra or Cialis, or generic medications as effective as Viagra but 90% cheaper, you can find it all through HIMS. HIMS is your go-to for doctor-trusted treatments to help you treat ED. Get ED treatment for as low as $3 per use and save up to $1,000 per month with generic for Viagra versus the brand name at 4hims.com/radio. If prescribed, your medication will be shipped to your door in discreet packaging. Do it all online. No in-person appointments. Get hard results with HIMS or your money back. Go to 4hims.com/radio to get your first visit free. That's 4hims.com/radio to get started free. forhims.com/radio.
The wait is over. New Chevys are on the lot now, and more are on the way to Herndon Chevrolet. These vehicles are in demand and selling fast, so don't miss out. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at herndonchevy.com today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile, smile.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now, but I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WIN for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WIN for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WIN.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell
on the home of the Gamecocks.
107.5
The Game.
11:22 on a what's today? Tuesday morning here in downtown Columbia. Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you guys. Talking Carolina, Kentucky. Really just talking about how Mark Stoops is the worst. Kurt says, I agree. He totally looks down on the program the last couple of years, and it was nice to shut him up. It's been fun to watch how much Kentucky has reeled in the aftermath of that game. You know, a lot of people invoking the 2019 Georgia game. When Georgia lost that game, it was like, man, you shouldn't have lost that game. This has been like a complete referendum for the entire like Kentucky football program. And it's one game. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Carolina has passed Kentucky in the hierarchy of the SEC East. And to hear their fan base and media members and head coach talk about it, like it's just weird how much they are shaken by one loss that they could very easily just be like, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, our guy, Wes and I were talking about it yesterday. I mean, the guys at KSR, Kentucky Sports Radio, do an awesome job. But just to show you how much this is kind of shaking things in Lexington, was that a podcast or video or something that they put out basically asking the question of whether or not this was the worst loss of the Stoops era. I'm like, that might be going a little far, guys.
They also did their post-game video beside a trash can on purpose.
Yes.
As a symbol for what they just witnessed.
I mean, it's not even a bad loss, really. Like, they lost. It's not a bad loss. I mean, I think part of it is maybe what they thought about themselves. I think they thought they were so far ahead.
Yeah.
And in reality, they're not.
They thought their $70,000 a share valuation was going to hold. Here's what Mark Stoops said. This is his opening comments after the game on Saturday.
Not a very good effort, top to bottom. Didn't start good. I don't feel like we did a great job putting a first time starter in position to be successful. I don't think our team played with the normal competitive character that we generally play with. Even after the tough start, we come in at halftime and somehow manage to tie it up and come in 7-7. Then we talked about, again, the competitive nature that our teams generally play with and sustained intensity that we generally play with. And I don't feel like we really did that. And that's obviously the job of a head coach to get the team prepared and to put them in position to be successful. And, that wasn't done. I got to do a better job. We didn't do a good job, top to bottom.
So there you go. You're basking in this.
Because I know how this is supposed to be making me. I was sort of torn. I was watching my first love, obviously South Carolina, but Kentucky has been catching my attention every now and then, and they was making some gestures towards me, but I know that I'm supposed to hate Mark Stoops, but I'm listening to this press conference and I'm like, yeah. He didn't dance around it. He didn't say, oh, well, he didn't offer any platitudes. He said, we didn't play well and we need to do better. And I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's grudging respect. And again, like, I think part of the reason I hate him is because there are enough things that I respect about him and I just don't like him. It's hard to, because like you said, if he were making the excuses, like I say what you will about, mentioning South Carolina or not, I appreciate that his perspective is at least one that projects like an internal locus of control for that program. It's not about what Carolina did to them. It's about their own kinds of shortcomings. I think that's valuable. I think it's way too easy to be like, oh, well, they did this and they did that. And, they're better than us. And, they have all these players and whatever. So again, like those are the things that I can appreciate and respect and listening to that. But also it confirms that I just like hate the dude.
Well, but the thing, I agree with you. You don't want to say, well, the other team did this, because then you're just not taking any responsibility.
Right.
But you can meet in the middle. You can point out some of those. And again, he did that with Ole Miss. He did that with Mike Leach. Like, so I don't know.
You know what I also like? Hey, man, I don't respect them, man. So whatever.
Not gonna pretend to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's definitely not pretending.
Yeah, we don't have to pretend this. But I mean, obviously, it's tough to do that when you're on the losing end of that. But
just makes it, yeah,
it makes you look like like a sore loser, I guess. But whatever.
Yeah.
Go ahead. In the personal text line, I have somebody that has weighed in that will be familiar.
Personal text lines are always open, also.
yeah. We'll give out your number, Chris.
This is from Tommy Moody, who is joining in on the Kentucky hate week, post-hate week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Extended hate week, yeah.
To Kentucky fans who think they own us, he put it in quotations to be even more snarky. The two schools have split their last 4 games, with Kentucky scoring 78 and South Carolina scoring 76. Overall series, South Carolina leads 19-14-1, and between 2000 and 2013, South Carolina was 13-1.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Tommy.
It's true.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Tommy, the legend.
3 more texts from the more public text line, 803-404-6100. Albert says Mark Stoops is a clown. He's the Fredo of the Stoops family. Absolutely love beating him in Kentucky. This is my favorite. This is good. This is from Josh. Says Stoops is just salty because Shane is shaped better than him. Stoops looks like Stoops looks like 300 pounds of chewed bubble gum.
Ooh.
Oh man.
Oh man. Yes. Now, see, we can only have these conversations because we won.
Yep.
Because if it was 9 out of 10, we'd all be, licking our wounds right now. But
I love that all of these takes and insults were half baked last week, but people were afraid to unleash them in case Carolina lost.
Right.
Oh,
everybody saw the Axl Rose pictures and the comparisons, but you're kind of scared. You're like, I don't know.
Greg says, boom, just like that, Kentucky is once again a basketball school. Jeff, with a more analytical point here, says he sees his undoing in Shane Beamer. Look at the parallels. Stoops wins in Williams-Brice year 2 to start his climb. Shane wins year 2 at Kentucky. Go ahead and put the rivalry back in order. Kentucky can go back to being just a basketball school, but rivalry in quotation marks there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some interesting.
Very good analytics
poetic
behind the pettiness that we're displaying up here. We appreciate that. We appreciate that.
This is a well-placed bye week. Let me just say that.
For sure. Well, I think it's just this idea. And again, I'm not, when you're just so diametrically opposed as personalities, when you're on the opposite scales, it's just probably irksome that he got beat by that guy. Like that guy, he's dancing in the locker room. He's tearing up at the 50-yard line. Like, get him out of here. Stoops is the antithesis of that.
Yeah.
That's sort of how, that's how Muschamp looked at Dabo. He's like, I don't like this guy, but he's kicking my butt every year. And it hurts even more because I hate him.
Yeah. Nothing worse than losing to someone that's also annoying.
Yes. And he's our coach. But I could see another fan base seeing Shane as extremely high on the annoying scale.
Yeah. And look, I get, we talked to a literal professor at the University of Kentucky who was just like, yeah, Kentucky didn't worry about it this much. But
got to hit him up.
But this to me confirms that whether either side wants to acknowledge it, this is a rivalry. Because every single year, and most recently, it has been South Carolina, or I should say more recently, it has been South Carolina. But anytime, and it happens every year, one of these schools loses this game, they're absolutely livid. And the other side is absolutely ecstatic and revels in the opponents. Like this is more of a rivalry than Georgia and Clemson right now, for sure. For sure. I mean, like both fan bases, both coaches now, the teams are as emotionally invested in this series as you can get. And I love it.
This game is definitely circled on the calendar for next year. There's going to be a lot of Kentucky fans who have decided, we're going to Columbia next year.
Oh boy.
What is it going to take for this? This is a dumb question. Is this how rivalries start?
Yes.
I was going to ask, like, how many consecutive wins would Kentucky or Carolina need to have for this to exit the realm of rivalry? But it might just be like this forever.
Well, just to harp back on my position, that's why this game was huge, because we was on the verge. They was talking 9 out of 10. It was on the verge of exiting rivalry because there's no geographical ties. There's really no other reason except for we're just fighting for the best of the rest, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Although Tennessee is going to have a word with both of these schools about that.
Hey.
Well, Tennessee's fighting for
relax.
The the top of
Best
the
of
East
the
right
best.
now.
Yeah, that's true.
We will not say anything kind about Jeff Heupel on this
Well,
program.
I don't know. You have your hard eyes for Kentucky. I have my hard eyes for Tennessee a
Oh,
little bit,
no.
which I never thought could
Oh,
happen.
no.
I really hope my friend Joe's not listening because he hates Tennessee as much as he hates Clemson, I think. Part of it is just I've been high on Tennessee, so I like being right. But, man, they're fun to watch.
I think this game is so important because when you win it, you feel pretty good about beating Vandy. Even though I know Missouri's beaten South Carolina the last couple few ugh.
That's another yikes.
All right. So but you always expect to beat those two, I feel like. So this is the game that sort of lets you say, like, oh, middle of the pack in the East versus
towards the bottom.
All we beat was Vandy, or all we beat was Vandy in Missouri. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it sort of slides you up into the middle of the pack as opposed to being in the cellar.
I'm already
think.
sad for when divisions go away. I think the scheduling will be better, and if we have more SEC games to watch, it will be for a good cause. But losing the added oomph with the division games is going to be sad. That's a couple years away, I guess. But
I agree. I was hoping they'd just go to, I mean, pods was a terrible name for it, I feel like. But why couldn't they still be called divisions? But,
well, and I'll be curious to see, I asked what would it take for this to exit the rivalry zone? It might be Carolina and Kentucky not playing each other every year anymore. I mean, it'll still be every other year at a minimum, but that could be a potential outcome of the conference realignment. But that's a little bit down the road. We'll stick with the here and now for now. 803-404-6100. Want to hear from you guys. Keep it coming.
Keep the petty coming.
Yeah, it's like all of these are like fresh out of drafts. People were writing these last week, and now they're firing them off. So keep it coming. 803-404-6100. At Pearson Fowler, at Wes Mitchell GC, at GC Chris Clark, and at Coach P Tweets.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecocksOnline.com.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, count on the experts at Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine to get you moving again. Our highly specialized physicians offer comprehensive care for patients at 5 convenient locations throughout the Midlands. Whether you're an athlete looking to return to your sport after injury or someone who needs help for knee, hip, elbow, shoulder, or foot pain, we're here for you. Our expert team can get you better sooner. Visit lexmed.com/ortho to learn more.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
The Guttermen have been providing top-notch service throughout the Midlands for over 47 years, building their business on relationships, not gimmicks. And you can call them locally, not a 1-800 number. Call them today at 791-7147 and look for the guys in the powder blue trucks.
We keep the clutter out of your gutter. Call on the gutter man.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
Do you struggle with occasional nerve aches in your hands or feet? Try Nervive Nerve Relief from the world's #1 nerve care company. Nervive tablets contain alpha-lipoic acid to relieve nerve aches, weakness, and discomfort, plus B-complex vitamins to support healthy nerve function as you age. Live life with less nerve discomfort with Nervive Nerve Relief. Learn more at nervivehealth.com. And try Nervive Pain Relieving Cream to block nerve pain signals at the source. Use as directed.
Fall is here, and with it comes all the traditional family outings like tailgating, mountain and beach adventures, and road trips to grandma's over the holidays. Wherever you go, go with great gas mileage, safety, technology, comfort, and style in a new Honda from Honda of Columbia. Right now, you'll get more for your trade than ever, and as always, you'll enjoy their no-hassle pricing, no-pressure buying experience. Honda of Columbia, your friendly family Honda dealer since 1978. Highway 378 at I-20.
Hey Midlands, Gus Hurlong with Midas Auto Service and Tires.
This is DK Joyner from Midas in the Midlands. I will not take my car anywhere for service but Midas. Total car care. Trust me, you will win at Midas.
Thanks, DK. And don't forget to ask about our loaner cars while your vehicle is serviced.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
11:39 on a Tuesday morning, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. A lot more on Carolina and Kentucky. Also want to remind you, if you're a high school football fan, which is probably most of you listening, don't forget to tune in to the High School Football Scoreboard Show with Tommy Moody and Justin Hall every Friday from 9 until midnight here on 107.5 The Game. Scores, stats, post-game interviews with the high school coaches. If you like high school football, it is required listening. Of course, right here on 107.5 from 9 until midnight. So we can just keep dogging on Mark Stoops, which we should. I was also kind of playing like, could we rank all of the 14 SEC coaches from most likable to least likable? Could we do that? Is that a worthwhile exercise? We don't have to like do it now in real time.
It's worthwhile.
Preston likes it. Wes doesn't. Chris is just laughing.
It's a bye week, so we have time.
The biggest swing factor there is going to be Lane. He's going to be, I think, second on my list, and I have a feeling he's going to be like 13th on Wes's list.
No, I like Lane.
You do?
Yeah. I think Lane is the guy. This is where we will disagree. I don't know if you want Lane running your program because I still believe it's a house of cards, but I very much enjoy watching Lane from afar. Like I enjoy all about it. I don't know if I want him driving the bus, you know what I mean, of my program, but
yeah, I'm driving the other bus.
Yeah, and if he can beat Bama or like him playing spoiler somewhere else,
yeah.
I'm enjoying that from afar, basically.
He's really one of the only swing guys because I feel like the SEC's like Shane is almost inarguably likable. I don't know anyone that doesn't like Mike Leach. Like there's a lot of guys in the SEC that are fun to pull for, and then there's a bunch of guys that are like, I would not be mad. Well, I'll just say, I hope a bird poops on his head every single day for the rest of his life. There's not a lot of middle ground coaches in the SEC. I don't know. Anyway, that might be a fun exercise for another day. But Wes wanted to actually talk about some things that happened in the football game, which is fair. We like to do that sometimes on this show. And in particular, you said you wanted to draw some attention to the defensive game plan that Clayton White brought to Saturday night.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting because we talked, I think on this show, and I know we talked in our podcast going in about would South Carolina make any meaningful changes, either from a scheme standpoint or from a personnel standpoint, possibly playing Tonka Hemingway at the edge some, again, maybe playing some of that 5-2 or 3-4, whatever you want to call it. We saw them play against Arkansas. And Clayton White, like you want to talk about identity. We talk about identity or lack of identity on the offensive side all the time. But Clayton White and the defensive staff is completely and entirely in love and married with their 4-2-5. Like they said, we ain't changing, basically. And they went into this game, and yeah, they had a guy in the box pretty much the entire contest. And even the deep safety was maybe a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage than they're used to seeing. But I just thought it was interesting that they just said, look, this is what we do. We're a 4-2-5 defense. We're playing several freshmen who I guess probably aren't really freshmen anymore. They've played so much now, but they just said we're going to roll with what we do. And I thought that was interesting because they did give up some yardage on the ground, obviously. But they also kept their athleticism in the game, and it paid off in terms of some negative plays and sacks and pressures and stuff like that as well. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting game plan decision.
Well, let me throw this your way. If Carolina had been fully healthy, do you anticipate they would have rolled out there with the same game plan? Because I think we have seen that Clayton White likes to stick with his base, which makes sense, and do what you're good at. But South Carolina, Boogie didn't travel, RJ didn't travel, Devontae Reed didn't travel. They were a little bit shorthanded. Did that force them to maybe make fewer adjustments to what they wanted, what they maybe would have wanted to do defensively?
I think, it could have, against Arkansas when they went sort of heavier, but they still didn't run like a 4-3. They didn't put a third linebacker. So that would have been one option, would have been like to put Debo Williams on the field as well, to put Bam on the field as well. The lack of depth right now at defensive tackle, because against Arkansas, they basically added an additional interior lineman. Now, that said, they did play TJ Sanders some in the game. They did play Nick Barrett some in the game. If they wanted to, they could have played basically Nick Barrett, Zach, and Tonka, or they could have played MJ Webb, Zach, and Tonka. Like, they had some options there if they really wanted to do that, because, they still played it would have been Gilbert and George Birch on the outside. In the Arkansas game, it was Jordan Birch, Jordan Strong on the outside. But I think the trust in Gilbert Edmond is growing, is maybe part of that. But I was a little bit surprised we didn't see some of Tonka on the outside. And again, maybe the depth does play into that, but it's not like they have a lot more depth still at sort of those interior, bigger defensive line spots than they do, for example, like at safety, where David Spalding just, hey, man, you're going to play safety this week. Good luck. So, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that he was just that committed to what he does.
Yeah, that looks like that's what they're going to be, and that's who they are. And when you do that, there is sort of a buy-in, especially when you have a modicum of success against a team. But I think it's interesting, to me, looking at Tonka play inside, is the first time you started to see some dynamicism, some twitch, some sort of burst from one of those inside guys. And I think that allows Zach to go back to doing what he's more natural at doing, which is being more of the run stuffer, the two gapper, the plugger. And maybe that changes the perception of how he's playing. Because previously, without having the other guy that can get upfield and rush the passer, you're sort of expecting that from Zach. And to go back to Josh's call, that may not be who Zach is or what he does well, but what he does do very well is stop gaps, take up room, make plays along the line of scrimmage. So maybe the emergence of Taka as a 3-tech, somebody who can get upfield, make plays, rush the passer, that might improve Zach's game also. So that's something I would like to keep an eye on.
What did you see? Put on your former player hat. I know you watched the defensive line, I'm sure, a bunch. What did you see from Tonka and those guys as the game played out, maybe compared to previous games this year?
Yeah, I think just going back to Tonka, I saw Tonka being able to get upfield. They were able to win a lot of times with just 4, aside from bringing, adding extra men to pressure. And I think with Tonka being able to get upfield, make that initial burst, that allows Zach to solidify the pocket and maybe play cleanup man instead of the guy that has to put the initial rush on the passer. That also allows Jordan Birch and your guy from Gilbert. You should take credit for it.
That's him.
Y'all been preaching Gilbert for a while now. But he looks like he's getting more comfortable at playing. But I just think the emergence of Tonka, taking that outside defensive end skill set, moving it down to a 3-tech, has made the overall team speed a little bit faster.
Did you notice him? Because I didn't particularly notice it, but to the extent that he's giving up any size on the inside relative to like an MJ or a Zach, didn't make that big of a difference in your opinion?
Maybe relative, but not enough that he can't make up for that with speed. Because I think when you play Zach and you play Boogie, you play Alex Huntley together, you're kind of playing twins. They're like identical guys. The difference in their skill set is not very much. So you don't necessarily need 2 of the same guy. whereas Tonka brings a different skill set than anybody else that they have that's playing interior, including MJ Webb. And there's one more guy that they play inside.
Yeah, they're playing Nick Barrett and TJ Sanders. Is
So
one of
those
the
are
next.
Nick Barrett and TJ Sanders are more so your pass rushers. We talked about TJ being a basketball guy. So I like the idea of having two different types of interior linemen, and more so just so that it allows Zach to be good at what he's really good at instead of us looking for him to be something that maybe he's not.
Yeah. That's interesting. This is totally changing my approach to recruiting whenever the next NCAA football game comes out, because I always recruit run-stopping defensive tackles, but it sounds like I should take a run stopper and a pass rusher.
Well, I mean, that's generally how your one technique and your three techniques break down. Your three tech is the guy that you want to get in one-on-one situations that can make a move. Your one guy wants to be a little bit more sturdy.
There was a thought process that started to emerge, I would say fairly recently, the last maybe 5 years or so. It used to be your pass rush, your edge rush guys by far, and you could see it played out in the NFL as far as the amount of money those guys command. One of the most important positions on the field from a defensive standpoint. But there is a thought these days, especially in college, as much as teams quick throw you, it's more important if you have a guy who can create that initial rush on the inside than it even is on the outside, because so many of your outside rushers get negated by the quick passing game, whereas initial pressure up the middle almost always can affect the play. If whether it's Zach just sort of holding up, or there were several times where Zach didn't quote unquote make the play, but I noticed him just getting a push, and it was he was putting his guy on skates basically. I think there was one play they had two guys on him, and he was driving them both backwards. That just it makes life so much easier, I imagine, on everybody else up front when that happens.
It's a lot easier to see when someone changes a sport, like like Wilt Chamberlain or Kareem in basketball, and you're not allowed to dunk and things like that. It's a little harder in football because there's so many moving pieces, but that's the impact that someone like Aaron Donald has. He completely changes the way that people value interior defensive linemen, because obviously there's only one Aaron Donald, but it just changes the way that you think about the geometry of the pass rush, which is, incredibly valuable. As good as he is as an individual player, that's part of his impact that'll be felt for years to come. 803-404-6100. A few more thoughts on Carolina, Kentucky as we wrap things up here on the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Hey guys, it's me, wrestling legend Ric Flair, and I'm on a mission to help millions of guys put more flair down there with Mount Everest. Unlike generic ED treatment programs that can take up to 60 minutes to work, Mount Everest can have you standing at attention in as little as 5 minutes. You'll have an absolutely mind-blowing experience every time. That's because only Mount Everest offers a unique 3-in-1 custom compounded medication. Mount Everest will make you a kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing son of a gun like me every night. Don't lose another night to ED. Put some flair down there with Mount Everest. Woo!
See if Mount Everest is right for you. Go to joinnuimage.com now and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. That's join, the letters NU, image.com, and use promo code RADIO to save 20%. Go to joinnuimage.com and save 20% with promo code RADIO.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with. Just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecockSonline.com.
You haven't tasted real Carolina barbecue until you've experienced Little Pig's Barbecue. Full-service dine-in buffet with barbecue ribs, brisket, chicken, rice, hash, tomato pie, macaroni and cheese, and many more of your favorites. Eat in or take out. Little Pig's Barbecue on Alpine Road is open from 11 to 2 on Wednesday, 11 to 8 Thursday through Saturday, and 11 to 3 on Sunday. Little Pig's Barbecue on Alpine Road. Little Pig's family looks forward to seeing you soon.
The wait is over. New Chevys are on the lot now, and more are on the way to Herndon Chevrolet. These vehicles are in demand and selling fast, so don't miss out. Stop by your hometown Chevy dealer and shop all your favorite models at prices you'll love. Find new roads at Herndon Chevrolet or visit us online at herndonchevy.com today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
Employee onboarding?
Automated.
Customer support?
Automated.
What if you could automate all your company's routine operation tasks and do it easily?
Lead management?
Automated.
With Zapier, you can. Zapier is the leader in no-code automation. Connect over 5,000 apps, automate almost any workflow, and streamline your team's performance without hiring a developer and with no coding required. That's right. Zapier's templates make it simple for you to automate anything in minutes, no matter your level of expertise. Zapier eliminates routine tasks and frees your employees to focus on the bigger picture. And with Zapier's advanced security features and annual SOC 2 audits, your data is safe and secure. See why thousands of companies, including Slack, Salesforce, and HubSpot, trust Zapier to automate their businesses.
Even complex tasks?
Automated with Zapier.
Try Zapier for free today at zapier.com/radio. That's zapier.com/radio. Zapier.com/radio.
Locally owned Atlantic Windows and Doors has been making Columbia area homes more comfortable, attractive, weather-tight, and energy efficient for over 35 years. How? By distributing products from the best window and door manufacturers in the country. These products give you the best looks, the best quality, and the best value, all based on your specific needs. And everything is professionally installed by their dedicated and experienced employees, not subcontractors. Atlantic Windows and Doors. Visit them online at awdsc.com. Train heating and cooling systems are tested, retested, engineered, and re-engineered to keep up with you. We run together. Visit traininfo.com to find your local independent Train dealer. Traininfo.com. It's hard to stop a train. Sponsored by traininfo.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell. On the home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
There's a couple minutes left here in the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Preston, West, Chris here with you. Plenty more in Carolina, Kentucky tomorrow. Again, no Shane Beamer press conference today, but we will start to see what lessons maybe Carolina has learned from the Kentucky game, how they can apply that to the rest of the season. Also, we'll have a poll question for you guys tomorrow that I'll set up for you in just a minute. But first, Wes wants to remind everybody about Kendall Walsh.
Yes, Kendall, a good friend of mine, I should say. Also, my realtor, she can be yours as well. Kendall is not only a huge South Carolina football fan, she is also a two-time graduate of the University of South Carolina, earning her undergraduate degree there. And she also, you may remember her when she was Kendall Belk working for the Gamecock Club. She was the first female assistant Gamecock Club director in the club's history. So shout out to Kendall. You should give her a call if you're in the market for a new home, or if you are just kind of wanting to be in the market but are a little unsure about what it looks like, what you need to know. You can make a no obligation phone call to Kendall. That's 803-414-3590. Kendall is, of course, with the Moore Company, workwithwalsh@gmail.com, and at workwithwalsh. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram. All the social medias. Hit up Kendall. Again, she helped me and my fiance get into a house, and she can do the same for you. Help walk you through that process. 803-414-3590.
Tomorrow, we'll unpack this more. I don't need your final answer right now, but be thinking about it, guys. This Carolina win, the first time in however many years they've had 3 straight wins, their first road ranked win since 2019, all these things, all these qualifiers. This Kentucky win is the biggest win for South Carolina since ... question mark. And if you feel like it's maybe not that important, then you can just say, I don't know, Florida last year, Auburn last year, something like that. But be thinking about that. I'll try to get a few suggestions, maybe throw it in the form of a poll question, but that is all of your homework for tonight. Be thinking about that. How big do you feel like this Kentucky win actually was? The Stoops hate aside, the importance for this season before the open week. Grab a first SEC win, recent history with Kentucky. That's your homework assignment. We'll do more of that tomorrow and more thoughts on Carolina as they enter the open week. But that is all we have time for today. Appreciate you all listening, and the halftime show's coming up next.